So let's talk about why there are migrants in France that are seeking to come to the UK. Just before I start, apologies, it's really hot. There are children screaming outside my window. I refuse to close it. I did turn off the fan, so my place is a mess, etc. We'll just talk about the issues and hopefully we'll get through it. So there are not very many migrants in France who are trying to get to the UK at any one time. There's a few thousand people who are in this situation, and that's been the case pretty much steadily for several decades now. At the peak of the jungle a couple of years ago, there were maybe as many as 6,000 people living there, but at the moment, estimates from NGOs tend to say that there's about a couple of thousand people living homeless in Calais in northern France, and whose intention is most likely to seek to come to the UK. And obviously we've seen over the last few weeks up to a couple hundred maybe people per day attempting those journeys across the Channel. So this has become the biggest deal in the world. So mainly the people who've been coming lately have come from Iran and Iraq, which makes sense. Actually, the countries of origin for asylum seekers in the UK in order at the moment are Syria, Iran, Eritrea, Sudan, Iraq, Afghanistan. So it makes sense that those people are coming from those countries in particular. So why don't they seek asylum in France? Well, to begin with, many of them do. So most of the figures I'm going to go by in this video are from 2018, which are the most recent official figures that I could find. But here we go. In France, there were 128,000 asylum applications in 2018, as compared to roughly about 35,000 per year that we're getting here in the UK. In the UK, asylum applications make up about 6% of immigration. I'm going to keep, this is the refrain, but like these are not serious numbers, not comparatively, not in their totality, not in reality at all. I mean, for the UK, those 35,000 odd apps per year represent about 5 applications for every 10,000 people who live in this country. So yeah, let's just cool it. The ones who don't apply for asylum in France, there's lots of reasons. One of the reasons is that they haven't yet reached safety. Now, I understand that France, as opposed to, for example, Syria, Iran, Iraq, etc., may be a safe country. Of course, it is in many ways a safe country, but for asylum seekers, that reality is not actually always tangible. In fact, just 1 month ago, in July of 2020, the European Court of Human Rights found that France was violating the rights of asylum seekers by leaving them homeless, leaving them destitute, leaving them at risk of predatory gangs, criminal gangs, traffickers, etc., especially, of course, in the case of unaccompanied children. And this isn't something new. France was condemned in 2018 by Human Rights Watch. Even people who may well have applied for asylum in France, therefore among these people who are living in northern France, are left by the system completely destitute, homeless. They have not been given protection. And protection is what these people are seeking. In many cases, they're simply seeking a dignified and safe life. And they've traveled.
I was trying to imagine if you
They haven't yet found protection when they reached Europe, wherever that was where they entered Europe. They found in many cases that the asylum system was not functional, that there was no prospects for them, that they were left on the streets, and in many cases that they've been brutalized by the police. And that has continued to happen to them throughout their journey. And the only information that they're obtaining is, of course, via smugglers or other migrants. So they're hearing half-truths, outright lies, and rumour in many cases, and they may be hearing, well, if you get to the UK, you'll be okay. Whereas here in France, they haven't been told, actually, this is a country where you can set up. They haven't been demonstrated in any way. This is a country where they have any prospects for the future. What they've seen is that they may have been brutalized by the police. They may have been left homeless and destitute. They may have been exposed to horrors from traffickers. And they have not yet reached safety. And these people are seeking a place where they can be safe, where they can set up their lives. And beyond being brutalized by the French police, there is actually a limit to what the French state is able to do. Because if in cases, obviously, where these people come from, so Sudan, Iran, Iraq, Syria, there's no prospect, realistically, of removing these people. Like, human rights legislation will not allow France to simply just round them up and deport them back to their countries of origin. The countries of origin will not accept them, and human rights law will prevent them from being sent there, because they quite clearly face a real risk of persecution and abuse and generalized violence and danger and death. So the French cannot just simply round them up and get rid of them for us, even if that were in any way a desirable outcome. And if they don't apply for asylum in France, that may well be because they're seeking to rejoin family members in the UK. In many cases, these people have been shown to have family in the UK. And this is where the cooperation that theoretically exists on paper between France and the UK in terms of asylum is completely not functioning, right? We are not linking up the family members who are seeking asylum, who have the right under the law to come to the UK and seek asylum in the country where they have family members. We're actively not doing that. We're not seeking out those people, in many cases children, to bring them here to safety, and we're leaving them to take these chaotic journeys instead. There are also the fact that basically, even if you don't have family here, you very often have colonial history linking you to the UK as a migrant. And you know that there is a community here, an established community of people from your country who can help you, who have done this journey before you. And those historic links of the reality of people moving to where other people from their country have previously moved are, really well established, go back generations, and not something that is possible for us to erase, because those communities are obviously part of our wider British communities. So that's another reason why people may be set specifically on the UK. And then there are smugglers also. Like, I cannot tell you how many times in my career I've spoken to migrants who have said that they didn't really know exactly where they were going or why they wanted to go to that particular place. It had been arranged, often maybe by family members, not even by themselves, of the smugglers, or it had been what the smugglers had said that they needed. This was the place to go to, and this is how much it costs, and then the smugglers are just going to arrange to bring you there through various means, and you're not in control in any way. You don't have any agency over that journey. And it's an incredibly terrifying situation to be in. And for many months, maybe, you may be completely at the mercy of these people who are exploiting your need to get to a place of safety. Right now, we know that smugglers are telling people, oh, it's your last chance to get across the channel. It's your last chance because of Brexit. It's your last chance because they're going to close the border. Now, this is ridiculous. Obviously, the border has always been closed to migrants of this kind and will continue to be in exactly the same way after Brexit is concluded. And by the way, we have already left the EU. So people are being exploited and being pushed to pay more. And again, over the last several years, we have taken hugely expensive steps to further securitize the perimeter of the Channel Tunnel train system and so on, so as to try to avoid people taking dangerous journeys through the tunnels and on the trains and getting onto lorries and so on. And that pushes people all the more towards these more dangerous routes, these routes taking the small boats across the channel. And smugglers can abuse people all the more and say, look, this is your one chance, this is your only way across. And because we have to put you in a boat now, you have to pay even more. Now, there are no alternatives, and I'm going to end this video now because it's getting long, but there are no alternatives. We currently in the UK, we suspended our one refugee resettlement route since March. There has been no resettlement to the UK at all for refugees. There is no route whatsoever for people who are fleeing persecution or violence or torture or anything else to come to the UK to seek asylum. None. Legally, that is. Obviously, this is the only way that people have, or else they enter through visa means and then make an application once they're already in country. But there isn't a way for them to come specifically for the purpose of seeking asylum legally. And that we're going to increase that problem because our new immigration system is entirely based around increasing the limitations we already had that existed on people who are not, globally speaking, very wealthy from coming to the UK. So the points-based system that you'll all have heard of, there will be no route any longer for anybody who doesn't earn over a certain amount to enter the UK. So we're clamping down yet further on the type of migration routes that would give these kinds of people the options of safe and legal mobility in order to find dignified lives and opportunities that, as I always say, we have taken our whole lives taking for granted. Okay, I hope that was helpful. There's obviously like so much more to say about this, but I'll try to keep this short, and maybe if this is helpful, I'll maybe do this again. But I'm going to go turn the fan back on and upload this, and feel free to chat with me. I'm going to leave a couple of links to the stats I've used and maybe some things that are helpful in the description. And yeah, see you next time.